I was not supposed to enjoy the chart this much, but check this out. The latest data from Resi Club and Zillow is showing that a city like Dallas, Texas has major price collapse, now down 4% year over year with home prices. And what's more, if we look at an area even like resilient Los Angeles, where home prices are now falling 1.3% year over year. Doesn't sound like a lot, right? But if you think about it, the last several years, an area like Los Angeles hasn't really experienced a lot of price decline. So today we're looking at the latest Zillow data because I'm seeing price collapse in many cities. I'm also seeing cities where prices are continuing to rise. And I'm going to give you the straight scoop on the housing market this morning if you're looking to find out what's happening with home prices and inventory in many major metros across the US. This is your video. Good morning. My name is Jason Ferrier. I am the housing nerd. And I'm a little under the weather. I apologize. But yeah, let's look at the Zillow info. If you have a metro you want me to look at, I have about an hour this morning. We can take some time and look at that stuff. There are some definite developments with home prices, no doubt. So I got an area like we looked at Los Angeles, we looked at Dallas. If I look at a market like Houston, we're going to see a very similar trend where home prices are falling. So if I go to Houston, Texas, and look at this, you can see that at a metro level, home prices now down 2% year over year. And a lot of that has to do with inventory. It just does. I mean, that's just how it is, folks. This is probably maybe one of the more shocking stats is if I bring up my spreadsheet of the cities that Resi Club tracks. It's not 85 cities. It's nearly 900 metros and 3,000 counties. Of those 900 metros, of the 900 metros that I track, I've got 295 of the top 900 metros have year over year price decline. 295 of the top 900. That means 600 of the top 900 have year over year price increase. That's right, increase. So not every metro is crashing, but a lot are. Look at this one. This one will really, I was like, man, I wonder where prices are crashing the most in the US right now. If you look at this one, Greenville, Mississippi. Look at this one. Down 30% year over year. 30%. That's pretty crazy, right? Now, let's go to another one. This one was big too. Look at this one. Murray, Kentucky. Down 20%. 20% year over year in home prices. What? That's right. Down 20%. Now, that is where home prices are falling. Obviously, there's, like I said, there's 295 of them, but those are some highlights that I found. If you look at the top metros, though, where are they going up? Remember, we got 600 of the top 900 where prices are still going up. Look at New York. New York. Metro area. Home prices up 3.2% year over year there. If I look at Chicago, home prices Home prices in Chicago up 3.8%. If I look at Philadelphia, home prices up 3% year over year. So I'm not seeing an explosion of like in the major metros anyway, of like 10, 15% year over year. But I am seeing home prices go up uh at least, normal appreciation rates of 2, 3, 4%. But there are a few metros, or there are many metros, but they're smaller metros where prices are absolutely going crazy, just like there are where they're going down. Let's see. I got Galesburg, Illinois. Look at this. Up 11%. 11% year over year in Galesburg, Illinois. Who knew, right? I've got Pontiac, Illinois, another Illinois metro. Prices up 10% there year over year. So it's not completely a travesty everywhere by any means. And if I zoom out on this map, it gives you a really great picture of what's happening. If I go down to a county level look, you can see how this populates. The red areas are where home prices are going down. The blue areas are where they're going up. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that if I look at the Midwest, the Northeast, that's where the prices are still going up. If I look at the Sun Belt down to Florida, into Texas, into the Southwest, and out West, there are definite price declines. So let me know where you are, and I will take a look at your metro. And I've got some more here. I had some of these requests earlier. Detroit, Michigan. Let's see what's going on in Detroit. Detroit, Michigan, up 3.5% year over year. If I come down to, I got a lot of viewers in Michigan. If I look at Hillsdale, Michigan, up 6.4%, right? So Michigan, for the most part, is doing pretty well. I come into Ohio, where I am, Columbus, Ohio, up 1.3% right now, year over year in prices. So I come down south, obviously in Florida. I've got Northport, Florida, down 8.8%. Tampa down 5.6%. Miami down 4.7%. Right. But here's what's crazy, even in these pockets where prices are dropping, look at this. If I go to a zip code level look in Florida, that's right, zip code level. We're going all the way down to the zip codes. Who's doing that for you on YouTube? Not many people. Going all the way down to zip codes. Look, some of these zip codes in Florida down 10%, 11%, 13%, 8%. Look at that, definite carnage. However, take a look at this. If I look year over year, there are areas in Florida that are still going up. Look at this, 33890 up 3.1%. Nutty, right? Here's a zip code 33960 up 1.4%. And if I come out back to a state level and look and kind of see what's going on, again, Midwest, Northeast, price increases. Even some out West are still increasing in pricing, but the South, Southeast, and even now the Northwest has a lot of price decline. So that is a snapshot of prices. Now look at this inventory, though. This is something you've got to be aware of, and this is maybe one of the more dangerous signs that we have right now. Do you remember throughout 2025, right? In 2025, we had a lot of people saying, hey, sellers are motivated and they're turning into distressed sellers, and inventory is going to explode throughout the US. There's going to be a massive amount of inventory, right? People have said that. I've heard of many people say that. Well, look at the inventory of what's happening, and this is extraordinary. Everybody likes price information, but look at this inventory. We're going to look at it on a year-over-year basis. Remember in 2025, people were like, yeah, there are markets where you're seeing 30% increases in inventory, 50% increases in inventory. From a state level, this is quite crazy. Florida is only up 5% in active inventory year over year. This isn't seasonality, folks. This is year over year, 5%. Regardless if people have rage quit, rage delisted, whatever you want to call it, the fact is, if there was a lot of distress happening in Florida, I would think you would see a lot more inventory year over year. It's only 5% right now. Now, why is that? One of the reasons is this. Look at new listings. Look at new listings in Florida. And here, actually, something interesting. I'm going to interview a Florida YouTuber coming up. And we're going to do a video together, and we're going to talk about this because look at new listings down in Florida. The number of people putting their house on the market down 11%. Down 11%. This is year over year, not seasonality. And this isn't delisting. This has nothing to do with delistings. Nothing. These are new listings down 11%. Look at Georgia, down 11%. Look at Texas. Can you believe this? This blew my socks off. Down 2%, 1.6%, down nearly 2% in new listings. What? Crazy, right? Look at Ohio. No growth in new listings, only up 0.6%. Folks, that is not a sign that the housing market is completely distressed. Because when you're distressed, you list your house. If you are a motivated, forced landlord, boomer, Airbnb bro, investor, institutional investor, Johnny homeowner, Susie homeowner, if you were one of those people and you were like, I have to sell my home or I am going to go bankrupt, you're going to list your property for sale. And it's not going to be in the shadows. It's going to be on the MLS. Why? Because you want to sell your house. Look at Illinois. New listings down 10%. I mean, the list goes on. Colorado. What? Colorado new listings are down 4.5%. Now let's go to a zip code look and check this out in Florida. This will make your head spin. If you're one of those people that's like, hey, the housing market's definitely crashing in Florida. I'm not going to deny it from a local level. It could be definitely. We looked at prices are definitely down in areas of Florida, but look at some of these new listings. Like this zip code here, 34251 has a 300% increase in new listings hitting the market in this zip code in Florida. But look at this, 34266 has a 40% decrease in new listings. These aren't delistings. These aren't rage quitting people. These are people not putting their home on the market, period. Look at this zip code right on the coast, 34275 down 40%, 37.5%. Who's counting at that point, right? It's just extraordinary where the new listings have trended over the last like 4 or 5 months. They've completely changed trajectory. Let me go back to a zip code look. Let me show you this in Texas. It's going to make your head spin again. I mean, I just don't, it's nuts. Right in Houston. If I zoom into Houston and I go out to like some of these markets, look at 77095 in Houston. New listings down 33%. One zip code over, new listings up 30%. What? Yeah, it's a completely fractured market, and it's very, very localized. Very localized. So that is new listings. Let me go back to inventory real quick and show you what it looks like from a state level, how we're trending, because this is important. So When I look at inventory compared to 2019, compared to pre-COVID, what does it look like? Well, you can see states up here, Midwest, Northeast, still have a woefully low level of inventory versus 2019. Pennsylvania has 34% fewer homes than 2019. New York has 41% fewer homes than 2019. Vermont has 50% fewer homes than 2019. Ohio has 24% fewer homes than 2019. Virginia, 27%. West Virginia, 42%. Illinois, you can't make this up. You can't. Illinois has a deficit of housing, not compared to like what Zillow says, but compared to just 2019 levels of 60%. 60, 60, not 16, not 6, 60%, 57.8% fewer homes for sale in Illinois right now versus 2019. Not comparing, now to summer. This is year over year, completely eliminates seasonality. Wisconsin, 36% fewer homes. Minnesota, 27% fewer homes. Look at Mississippi, down 11%. Louisiana, down 8%. Then you got Texas, which is up 33.5%. You got Florida, that's 22.8%. Arizona, 39%. Look at California, still has 3% fewer homes for sale than 2019. And I know real estate's hyper local, so we can go to a zip code level if you want to. You just got to give me a zip code, and I'm happy to look at it. I do have some here that people have already requested, but it's a crazy market. It's an absolutely crazy market, and it'll be really interesting to see how many people put their house on the market as we move through the spring. Let me take a couple comments here. Tim Warner, what's up, Tim Warner? Are you the same Tim Warner that I grew up with? Maybe you are. I don't know. How much of the price decrease in the Southeast is because of hurricane damage and owners sold before repairing? I don't know. That's a great question. I'm gonna ask. My Florida contact. I'm gonna interview a Florida realtor down there coming up, and we're gonna see what he has to say. That's a great question, though. It's a great question. Yeah, there's a guy down in Florida, John Brooks, that I'm going to interview. We're going to do a video together. I'm going to ask him. That's a great question. It could be a lot of the pain down there as hurricanes, right? Seems to be a big deal. I don't live in Florida, obviously, but there's a lot of inventory. I think that's really the cause of it, Tim. There's just a lot of homes for sale in spots. I think that's what we're running into. How about the city and Erie County, PA? Okay, I'll do that one. What else we got? How's the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex looking? I'll look at that one. Where will they go? I don't know. Which one are you talking about? Where will who go? Prices? I don't know. Staying planted where they're at. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about people who own? Yeah, Christine, what's up? Thank you for joining. It's yeah, you've got people that quite frankly don't need to sell their house, right? They just don't need to. And here's the thing that like I hear this all the time. And I just saw some interviews over the weekend, laying in bed, sick. I was like, let me catch up on some doom, some Crash Bro stuff. And I heard someone say, well, it doesn't matter if the mortgage is paid off, and it doesn't matter if they have a low rate because of insurance and taxes, which is true. Insurance and taxes are independent of a mortgage being paid off. Doesn't have anything to do with interest rates. But if your house is paid off and your interest, let's say your taxes go up $100 a month, right? And your insurance goes up $100 a month or $200 a month. Well, if your house is paid off or you have a low interest rate, your payment is probably less still, even with that elevated tax and insurance rate, than buying your next house or renting another renting a place that's comparable to where you live now. So I think Christine's point is, where are they going to go? What are they going to do? They're trapped. A lot of people are trapped. Yep. I will check Midlothian. Is that how you say that? Midlothian. I'm probably butchering that, but Texas, yeah. I'll check that. What do we got? We have a good thing going on in the Northeast and Great Lakes region or in the long run. So why move? Yeah, I agree 100%. Like, the boring Midwest is crushing it, crushing it. I mean, I got to cut this live short because I'm going to be busy this week with clients. And I have been for a while now. It's busy. I mean, I got people buying, I got people selling. I got investors calling me. I don't know. I mean, and we're not talking like, we're not talking people with just buckets of cash. For the most part, we're talking normal people buying and normal people selling, people having change of life, right? And people upgrading. I've got people upgrading that are wanting to make a move. So yeah, it's the Midwest is blowing up. It is still the boring old flyover Midwest. All right, let me check some of these counties or these areas that you wanted me to. Old Jack, Erie County, PA. Let's go to county. Erie County, PA. All right. So let me start with, let's look at inventory first, Jack. Let's look at inventory first. So since 2019, if we go back to 2019 and look at your inventory in Erie County, Erie County, PA, my bad. There we go. Oh, it's worse. What's going on? Erie County, PA, you've got 64%, 64% fewer homes for sale right now than you did in 2019. 64%. I mean, that's like extraordinary. If you look at this inventory count, and to your point, why go anywhere, right? I mean, you can't. Oh, it's absolutely crazy. Again, I'm a housing nerd, right? So I'm like, well, this is interesting to me, but it may not be to everybody. But 1,165 homes back in 2016. Right before the pandemic, you had 731 homes for sale. And this is what a lot of the crash bros and doomers and people that tell you just wait because, if you just wait, inventory will get better. Or they make up a narrative as to why inventory is not growing or something, or they're not looking at their data. Look how inventory in your market was shrinking before COVID. Like, you were losing inventory before COVID even hit. You went from 1,100 listings or 1,200 listings down all the way down to 731 right before COVID. Then COVID hit and you went all the way down to 234 listings. And now you've got 265 listings. You basically haven't grown your inventory at all. At all. So it'd be really interesting to see what happens to prices. What's going on with prices there? Wow. Up 6%. Your prices there are up 6% year over year. If I look at the typical home value, and this is important, and I have to correct something that is happening with my data a lot. I get a lot of heat from y'all, a lot of heat. Like, people are hopping angry that I use median sale price, because Redfin uses median sale price. This is Zillow data. Zillow doesn't use median sale price. Zillow uses the 35th to 65th percentile, which is basically taking out all the luxury homes, all that top end that everybody hates in the median. I mean, I get comment after comment. You're using the median. That's fake. Okay, well, I'm going to stop using median as much, although Redfin does provide the latest data. So I'll still use their data. But for today, I'm using Zillow 35th to 65th percentile means they are taking all the homes in that middle range, not the top, not the bottom. They've taken those out. Your house right now, home prices in your county are at an all-time record high. I'll say it again. All-time record high. All-time record high home price. In other words, homes have never been more expensive than now. 207,813. Now, it could be the reason why they're at an all-time high is because your homes, the typical value, I'm not saying your house, Jack, but typical homes are only $207,000. There are people across the US that would be like, I'll take 5, please. Right? So it is what it is. Right now, I mean, you can see the chart. You just keep going and going and going. You have an all-time record high home price in Erie. That's crazy. Crazy. It doesn't surprise me. If we go down south, we'll see something completely different. How is it Dallas Fort Worth? Well, speak of the devil. Here we go. You got a zip code. I can go hyper local to the zip code too. Dallas Fort Worth. Look at inventory. If you want to know why the housing market is the way it is, if you're one of those people that think, hey, I just keep watching headlines in my YouTube scroll that say, you know, the housing market's doomed, just give it a couple more weeks or whatever. This is really the greatest example of it. We just saw Erie, Pennsylvania, where you had no inventory and you had record high home prices. Now we're in Dallas, where inventory there versus 2019 is up, not down, up 30%. So you got 30% more homes in Dallas, Texas right now than you did in 2019. Now let's look at prices. Look at prices. Down 4% year over year. And if I go back to the shift since 2022, look at this. They're down 7%. So since 2022, Dallas prices have dropped. Let's look at their typical value. Remember, typical value, not median. They're not even close to their all-time high. They've dropped. They're at 360,935. Their peak was back here in 2022 at 387,080. So they're dropping in Dallas. Now you said Dallas Metro, right? So do you have a zip code? Like if I drop this into, like, let's say I do this. By the way, I always forget this. I don't like to plug myself, but hit the like button if you've joined, or if you're watching this, you get some value out of it, or you like what I'm doing. Hit the like button and share the video. Sharing it helps a ton. And then subscribe. A lot of y'all aren't subscribed to the Housing Nerd. I don't know why. Why wouldn't you be subscribed? Doesn't take any effort, really, right? I don't make any money because you're subscribed. But let me go to zip code level. If you gave me a zip code, I could here's the county look. Let me go to the zip code look. So Dallas is where? Like right here, right? Isn't this Dallas up here? Right? Yeah. Get my geography right. Seems like everywhere in Texas is 4 hours away. Like if you're in San Antonio, you're like, I'm going to Dallas, it's 4 hours. Dallas to Houston, 4 hours. At least that's what I remember from traveling out there. But yeah, look at some of these zip codes in Dallas, like active inventory. Like some of these zip codes are up 75%, 65%. This one, though, right next door is down 35%. What? Then if I look at prices in Dallas, in the metro area anyway, and I go back, let's go since 2022. I mean, some pretty bad carnage going on, right? Like you've got down here, down 16%, zip code 75215, 75216, down 15%. Did you tell me? Whoops. Yeah. Did you tell me what area you want of Dallas? I don't think you did. No, you didn't. That's okay. We'll use this. Bossy Gamer God. Cool name. Yeah, so, like, if I'm inside the Dallas metro, there are actual zip codes where prices are still going up. Like, look at this, 75229 home prices are well, yeah, since the 2022 peak are up 12% or 11%, sorry. 75220 up 10% in Dallas. Look at this zip code, 75225 up 22% since 2022. Now, I don't know Dallas that well, so this may not be a big deal, but if you just take a quick zoom out, you can see there are areas inside Dallas where home prices are still going up, and a lot of areas where prices are not going up. All right, so that was Dallas. Let's look at Midlothian. Is that right? I feel like I'm butchering that. And since I can't hear what you're saying, I'm just going to go with it. Do you have a zip code for me? Let me see. It's in. No, not in here. Let me look up a zip code. 76065. How about that? All right, 76065. By the way, I get a lot of flack from y'all too saying, hey, you're looking at national numbers only. Understood. So that's why we're going to a zip code level. Hopefully that quenches your thirst, I'll say. Prices in 76065 zip code in Texas are down 3.5% since 2022. Now, if I look at year over year, you're only down, well, you are down. You're down 0.8%. So home prices are dropping there. I mean, they've been down, like, look at this. You've been down since mid 2023. Now, you know, you've been down every month almost. There's only a couple months where you've been up. So home price growth there has stagnated big time. Let's look at the typical value, then we'll get to inventory. Yeah, I mean, there's just a slow grind down, right? I mean, you peaked at like 463,922, and then you continued to fall slowly, and now you're at 448. So you've lost what? 448, 464, 20 grand? 20 grand in what, 3 years? So it doesn't seem like a huge deal, but if you bought at the peak here, it would be a big deal. You'd be like, "Man." So the whole notion that real estate always goes up is obviously not the case, right? Because it doesn't always go up. It'd be crazy to say that. So definitely prices dropping there. Let's look at inventory and see what's going on. Click this and go here. So since 2019, you were up 25% in the number of homes for sale. So they definitely have added inventory. Like if I go to the inventory count, look at this. You've got 227 right now. I mean, you've had inventory levels recently that are way larger than what you've historically had. And that's where we're seeing the price drops, folks. Conversely, where we're not seeing the inventory growth, that's where home prices are still going up. It's just simple supply and demand. Just simple supply and demand. What other zip codes are around there? What else is going on there? So if I zoom in here, the zip code down to the southwest, 76084 up 10%. To the north, 75104 up not or I'm sorry, down 9%. So everything's down in prices around you. It seems like. And this is since the peak, since 2022. Huh, yep, that's Texas. Interesting. Who else has one? Let's see who else. Let's see what else we got. But I thought it was YouTube. What's up? I thought it was supposed to crash 200%. Haven't heard anybody say 200%, but I've heard 50%, right? 38%, whatever. And yeah, look, I mean, there are metros or there are areas, to be fair, Greenville, Mississippi, down 27%. I mean, if I look at this is by the way, if you really want great data, go to Resi Club Analytics. I don't get paid by them. They don't sponsor me at all. I get no kickbacks from Resi Club Analytics, but I just believe in their service. And if you subscribe to them, I think it's like $400 a year, $500 a year. Um, then you get access to this map that I was showing you and a spreadsheet like this that literally shows you more information than you'd ever want to know. But it's great if you're a housing type nerd. And if I look at where prices are declining the most, I mean, there are areas that are down a lot. So when Melody Wright calls for a 38% crash or 50% crash, whatever she called for, I mean, Greenville, Mississippi, Murray, Kentucky, Punta Gorda, Florida, Bennettsville, South Carolina, Silver City, New Mexico, Cleveland, Mississippi, not Cleveland, Ohio, that's skyrocketing. Morgan City, Louisiana, all down, 11, 12, 20%. So there's a lot of areas that are actually down a lot. But there's not one housing market. So, you know, to say it was going to crash 38%, it's like, okay, wow, I don't know. It seems disingenuous to people. Oh, man, I can't wait to look at this one. Queens, New York. Great. Yep, you got it. Deathball 9987 11413. Oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. Let me see something. Okay. 11413. All right. I love looking at these different zip codes. It's just great education. Great education. Okay. Let's start with you said inventory and prices, obviously. Yeah, look at prices since 2022, up 8%, up 8%, right? So prices are still going up there in the Bronx. And then if I look at how's it doing year over year? Up 4% year over year. Your home prices are still going up in that zip code in Bronx. Let me look at inventory. Well, let's look at the typical value now. I wonder how much that is. $719,000. It's an all-time high. So right now, home prices have never been more expensive than they are now. It is what it is. $719,000 record high home price. All right, now we need inventory year over year. Look at that, down year over year. You have fewer homes for sale, not seasonality. This takes out seasonality. This is comparing winter to winter. The end of December data to the end of December data. And it's true. Inventory normally drops during the winter, but if you're comparing a drop in the winter to a drop in the winter, wouldn't you say that that's what you should do, right? You don't want to compare December to June. You want to compare to December to December. Comparing December to December, not seasonality, inventory in this zip code down 11% year over year. That's astonishing. Since 2019, you are down 40%. So you've got 40% fewer homes right now than you did in 2019. That's not great. You need a lot more homes for sale. 49 homes on the market. You actually had a peak. You had a lot in December of 2022, but then you lost inventory. And you actually have never had a ton, but right now, fewer homes for sale usually equals higher prices. So that's what's going on there. Prices in the Bronx. Let's zoom out for a second in New York and see what's going on. Like, come on, Matt. Yeah, look at this in New York. I mean, would you say that that state is crashing in home prices? Blue is up, red is down. There are a few zip codes in New York where prices are going down. Look at this 12946. That's like upstate New York, down 20%. Here's a little hamlet, 13666 zip code in upstate New York, down 12%. But look at this. This will talk about New York prices. This is crazy what I see up in that Rochester, Syracuse area. Why someone would say that Rochester, I heard someone recently say Rochester home prices are crashing. They're in for it. They're going to fall and burn in 2026. I mean, some of these prices that they've seen, the appreciation since 2022 in upstate New York are extraordinary. All through this like Rochester, Syracuse area. I mean, look at this 23%, 25%, 20%, 33% increase in home prices since 2022 in upstate New York. I mean, I guess I call that upstate New York. Oh, maybe along, what's that? Lake Oswego, right? Beautiful area, by the way. But New York is not crashing. Absolutely not. And it has to do with, a lot of it has to do with inventory, or most of it does. But that's what's happening in the Bronx. Thanks for suggesting the Bronx. The Bronx. I hope that helped. Emily, what's up? We looked at some houses yesterday, looking for seller concessions to help with high interest rates. Seller with the highest price has nearly zero margin to give a rate buy down. This market is cooked. Where are you? And I'd love to know. Where are you at? And if they don't have any room to move and they don't sell their house, it'll be a short sale, right? They may have to sell it for less than they owe. That's usually what happens in that situation. Haven't seen short sales in a long time. I predict we may see more short sales than foreclosures. It's possible. If you're a realtor, by the way, you better bone up on foreclosures and short sales. Location of Ohio has always been there. Just now, the rest of the country has woke up. I believe a record number of good paying jobs to follow. It's extraordinary what's happening here. It really is. And part of me is proud of the Buckeye State for having that type of growth and that type of opportunity, but the locals are suffering. I mean, the property taxes here are ridiculously stupid. And home prices are not really affordable anymore to the locals. But to your point, Ohio is a gem. It's still a gem, in my opinion. I love Ohio, and I lived in Washington State. I lived out in Seattle. I've lived in Southern California for several years, and I came back to Ohio because I love it. I do like it, so I agree. And I have an all Ohio channel. You may know that. It's called the Ohio Housing Nerd, where I just talk about Ohio. So check that out. Oh, let's hear about Erie. We moved to Erie in 2018 as an engineer and scientist couple. We understood that what's here and ahead, and so do the insurance companies. Yeah, well, good for you. Yeah, I like Pennsylvania too. I was just out in Seven Springs last weekend. I think that's where I caught my cold, and no snow. So that stunk as a snowboarder. That was not fun at all. It was like completely ice. But I do like Pennsylvania, and I'm a huge Steelers fan. So, hello, how are you, Spring? Emily, what's up? Another house for sale needs to sell before they can buy their next place. The contingent offer expired and fell through, so the house was back on the market. Yeah, that happens in that daisy chain, right? That can blow up when somebody needs to sell in order to sell if somebody needs to buy a house in order to sell their house. You know what I mean, right? The daisy chain. That can happen. Another house was bought in 2023 and they're trying to sell for 10K more than they bought it for. I mean, it depends on the market, right? And what they did to it. Did they add any value? Generally speaking, the days of like just adding money to your existing home are and trying to get more, those days are over for the most part. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I try. If you guys can't tell, I try. I try to bring you value. I'm not trying to hoodwink you. And quite frankly, You may not believe this, but I don't care if you buy or sell a property. It has no effect on me whatsoever. I'm not going to influence the market with my 9,000 subscribers. Okay. I'm not going to like move the needle on the market to like get people like juice it to get people to buy because I'm a realtor. Whatever happens with the market, whatever y'all do, I'll be okay. Okay. I will make it. I guarantee I'll make it. So I'm not worried about that. And the odd thing is, as the market cools, I'll do better because the market will free up and I'll have more transactions. So the realtors have had it tough the past few years. And many people think realtors want prices to go up, but that's not the case. Well, for the most part, realtors just want transactions. So, like, if the market falls, and as Melody Wright predicts, sales will go up because of that, that will help realtors, not hurt them. Strange, right? You're saying it right. 76065. Let's look at it. Where is that? Oh, is that in the metro area there? And is that Dallas 76? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, in Dallas. Yep. Price is down 3.5%. Good. I'm glad this data is checking out. I'm glad it's helpful. Anthony, that's I know you come around a lot, so thank you. Hey, from Arizona. Good to see you. Did you change your handle? Is that always your handle? Or did you have a different YouTube handle? Binky Poo, mixed snuggle cakes. What's up, man? I'm sorry, Ogden, Utah. Great snowboarding out there. 84401. I've never been there to snowboard, but people that I know say it's incredible. 84401. Like it's hard to explain how bad the weather in the Midwest is for snowboarding. It's so hard. If you ski or snowboard, you know what I'm talking about. It's really awful for the most part in the Midwest. I mean, there are spots like in Michigan and stuff, but I mean, you can go to West Virginia and you can kind of catch a break, or Pennsylvania or New York. But if you're like in the Midwest, man, it's rough. All right. In Ogden, Utah, cool market to look at, down 5.4% since 2022 in home prices. Let's look at year over year, how our price is doing. Up 1.8%. So what I am noticing in a lot of these markets, I'm noticing home prices are not exploding like they were at one point. I mean, this is extraordinary. Look back here. Oh shoot, did I share my screen? Yeah. Look back here at back in 2021. Home prices were growing 30%. 30% year over year. I mean, that is insane. Like right when COVID hit, people were like, "Oh, inventory doesn't matter." I'll have people comment like that, and they're insane. And you're like, "Well, yeah, but inventory fell because demand's very elastic, right? Supply is very inelastic. So demand can turn over on a switch." And it did. And prices just went vertical. Then they fell. The price growth fell, and you were actually losing 8% month over month for a few weeks, or I'm sorry, a few months. And then now it's growing again, but not at a rapid rate, thank goodness. Let's look at the average typical value, not the average, but the typical value of a house in the 35th to 65th percentile, not median pricing. You're at 444,149. It looks like right around here is where you peaked. 463 was your peak back in 2022. And you can see it did fall, but is it crashing? No, it's not. Somebody pointed out to me, though, on my channel this morning, and I don't remember who the comment was from, but I was browsing the comments and somebody called it out in a great way. They said the housing market has already crashed and gone. It's already done. Like the market has already crashed from a value standpoint compared to what? Compared to other assets. So for instance, like gold, if you overlay gold prices and the growth of gold or silver, shout out to Travis at Real Estate Mindset. His channel now is just like a silver channel. It's not even a housing channel anymore. Um, but if you compare an asset like that to houses, house prices have crashed. I don't hear anybody talking about that. And that was a great comment. They're right. Everything has gone up in price, right? Beef, cars, car prices haven't crashed. Everything's gone up. And so the point of that is like maybe the housing market's already crashed, right? Because the values aren't exploding like the inflation isn't there like it is in other assets. So you're still gaining, or you are gaining now in that zip code in Utah, but it's not tremendous. 1.8%. Let's look at inventory real quick. Active inventory year over year, up 8%. So you got more homes than you did last year. That's good. Since 2019, you've got 50% more homes. Let's look at the count. How many homes actually? 167. If I go back to COVID, you had 27 houses on the market. 27 houses. Now you've got 167. And you actually have more now than, I mean, yeah, you've got more now than you have had in any December going all the way back to 16. So you're definitely going to have slower price increases, and maybe even price decline when you have that type of inventory growth. That's just how it is. So I bet you're seeing more choices. Maybe they're not the homes that everybody wants. Maybe it's not the home you want if you're looking, but definitely more choices out there. And that will cause prices to go lower. And that's what you need if you're in a market where prices aren't going down, probably because of inventory. If I pan out and look at different zip codes with prices in Utah, you can see this zip code 84098 is down 10%, where this zip code 84317, wherever that is up 9%. Again, very hyper local. That's why I'm giving you the zip code level report. Remember, folks, I track 3,000 counties and 900 metros, not 85 cherry picked metros that I like. I'm doing 900 metros, 3,000 counties. I don't know. Well, how many zip codes? Probably tens of thousands. Hope that helped. Ogden, Utah. Even short sales involve multiple offers. They can. Yeah, because the bank's really making the decision, right? Indiana, too. Yeah, Indiana's, for the most part, trucking along. What's up, Chrissy? Chrissy's Slime. What about Longview, Washington? Okay. 98632. By the way, if you're on, give me a thumbs up. Share the video with somebody you think would benefit or want to get their zip code looked at, right? 98632, the south west Washington, right? Like right on that Oregon border, right on 5, right? You go across that bridge, the Longview Bridge. Is that what it's called? Is that Vancouver, Washington? Isn't that right here? If I remember right. Prices since the peak, flat, no growth since the peak, basically flat, down 0.4%, basically flat year over year. But again, you can see that huge growth you had back in 2021, massive growth. Now inventory. Let's look at the typical value. $382,000 is the typical value. 382. Is that an all-time high? No. You hit an all-time high, it looks like right through here. 386. Yeah. So you're right at your all-time high, very close. but not crashing at all. You can tell it's not like it's going down, like sinking a ton, but it's not, prices aren't exploding anymore either. Let's look at inventory. How are you doing inventory? You're down 1.7% year over year. So fewer homes this December, or I guess 2025's December versus 2024's December. Remember, this is the end of December data is how they do that. And you've got 11, basically 12% more homes for sale versus 2019. So as you see that number go up, if we continue to add inventory, let's see how many you have. 115 homes on the market. And it looks like historically that's a good amount. Like if you were to maintain this amount, you may see just regular home price appreciation of, 1%, half a percent, 3% something versus 15%, right? But I wouldn't expect home prices to explode anytime soon there because look how the inventory you had back in 2020, you had 40 homes on the market. That's it. Again, demand is very elastic, right? But supply very inelastic, meaning it takes a long time to add supply. Like you're building a house, you said, right? I think is that what you said? When to build a custom house on our land? I'd say anytime's a good time to do that. Custom houses sound fun, but seriously, like, I mean, if you're doing something to that nature, Chrissy, like you're almost operating in a different market, right? You're not buying a standard house, so I'm not sure I'd let this noise really deter you. I mean, the trend's not going to probably tell you if you should build or not. Honestly, like that's more of a lifestyle choice because you know when we look at inventory, you've got back in 2020 only 40 homes, now 115. It kind of doesn't affect you in a way because you're building a custom house, right? On land, no less. These aren't like suburban, you're not in like a suburban house that you would typically think of. At least I don't think you would be out in that area. So the market doesn't look like it's headed for a crash by any means. Anything's possible. None of this is set in stone. It could crash, right? But you just have to have a lot more inventory to crash. Something people want to ignore who are cheering for a housing crash or who are not cheering for a housing crash is the inventory. They just ignore that inventory has to grow ahead of the crash. Like you're not going to crash prices and then have inventory come in. The inventory comes in and that causes prices to fall because there's a lot of choices and buyers have a lot of options and sellers have a lot of competition. Versus the other hand, where you only had 40 homes on the market, buyers had all the competition, sellers were the ones holding the cards. So unless you see like, I don't know, if if the number of homes for sale was growing like 50% year over year, month after month, and you kept seeing more homes pile into the market, a bunch of new listings, watch new listings in your area. You see a lot of new listings hitting the street constantly and they're not selling and active inventory is going up. Chances are prices will go down. But I'm not seeing that right now. I'm seeing you return to normal levels and prices are growing still. Anyway, that is Longview, Washington. I miss Washington. It was actually a great place to live. Wasn't, we decided we had a job change. I moved down to Southern California, but that when I left Washington, it had rained for 60 days straight. And I was like, man, I'm ready for some sun. But you changed it. Okay, cool. How's the Kingman housing market in Lake Havasu? Oh, okay. This will be a cool one. 46032. What time is it? 11:17. Okay. I got to go after, I'll do two more. 46032. Let's look. Indiana. And this is right, like, this is east of Indianapolis, right? North of Indianapolis. I actually owned my first rental property here with some other folks. I had no idea what I was doing way before I was in real estate. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go in with you. Made a little money, not a lot. It was a new build too, I think. All right, 12.5% growth in home prices since 2022. So you're up a lot since 2022, up 4.4% year over year. So you have real price gain, right? Because if inflation, if we believe it's 2.73%, something like that, you've got to actually have real home price appreciation in your market. But again, if you look at the cost of gold or the value of gold, it could be that gold is actually keeping the housing market higher for longer. I was thinking about this yesterday. I was like, hey, if if all these folks, all these older folks have gold, I'm not saying you're an older person, but even if you are, fine. But if all these folks have gold and they've been holding it for years, hoping for an increase, and now it's skyrocketing, they're feeling good. Maybe people are selling their gold in order to buy houses. I don't know. Let's look at the typical value. All-time record high home price. I need a sound clip for this. I have a little soundboard. I'm going to get a sound clip. I'm going to get that going, and I'm going to have a sound clip or a sound bite for all-time record high. I'm not sure how I'll find that, but I will. 600 grand in Indiana. Wow. That's an expensive market. All-time record high home price in Carmel, Indiana. Is it Carmel? Is that how you say it? Right? Yeah, Carmel, Indiana. Jeez. All-time record high home price. What in the what? Active inventory year over year, you're up 15% in the number of homes for sale. That's good. Active inventory versus 2019, you're still down 26%. So you still have 26% fewer homes on the market than you did before the pandemic. Right now, 84 homes. During the pandemic, 30 homes. 30 homes, that's it. Back in 2016, you had 203 homes. Again, we see this play out over and over and over where we were losing inventory before the pandemic. Let that sink in. You were losing homes for sale. Like you went from 203 to 172 to 151 to 114 before the pandemic even hit. Then the pandemic hit and it went all the way down to 62 homes for sale. And then it went down to 30 homes. And then now it's creeping back up, right? That's going back to normal at some point. You just ain't there yet. So prices there higher for longer. Higher for longer in Carmel, Indiana. I have to imagine there's a lot of new construction there too. But I bet a lot of people want to live there, obviously. Oh, oh, what's up? I am Dave ID. Man, Dave, I really appreciate it, dude. You've been very supportive. I remember you asking some questions earlier and you're checking in again. I really appreciate the super chat. It means a lot to me. Seriously. I put a lot of energy into this channel and you don't YouTube, like if you're relying on AdSense as a YouTuber, you gotta have a lot of subscribers, a lot of views to make any money. 78626 Georgetown, Texas, Williamson County, moving in March, renting until the right deal comes along, patient and willing to take a lot of no's. Appreciate all the info you put out. Make sure to tell the pups they're good dogs. Yeah. Yeah, she's laying over here right now, one of them. All right. I am Dave ID. I'll finish out the live stream with yours. 78626. Yeah, you gave me a super chat, so let's really dive into this, then I'll end it. Okay. Well, I see red. I see red. Let's do active inventory first. You know what? We're really gonna dive into your market, bro, because that's a huge contribution. Okay, let's look at new listings first. How much time do I have? Okay. Let's look at new listings first. So new listings are hitting the market, right? Again, the narrative was a lot of distress coming, or not coming here. A bellwether for that are the new listings. And right now, you have 30% fewer new listings than December of 2024. So if I go December 25 to December 24, you have 30% fewer people putting their house on the market. That is not what you want to see if you want more inventory. Although you probably had a lot of new listings um, earlier, maybe not. Um, well, I guess so this is the new listing count. Right now, 26 new listings. That was it in a month in that zip code. And if I look through the year, you had like 84 in a month, 86 in a month. Here was your peak right here, September 2024. You had 106 new listings hit the market. You actually had a lot back when COVID started, curiously enough. But now you have fewer new listings than last December. That's not what you want to see. So let's look at new listings versus 2019 before COVID. You're down 60%. So let's look and see how that translates into active inventory. You got 15% more homes for sale right now. 15% more. Active inventory versus 2019 down 2%. So you still have fewer number of homes for sale than you had before COVID. I know that's a lot of data. I'm throwing a lot at you. I get it. But and so now you have 100, that all translates into 174 houses on the market right now. During COVID, you only had like 43. Look at this, 43, 76, and then it shot up big time in 2022. And so you are building inventory. There's no doubt about it. Let's look at median days on market. Median days on market, 85 days. That's like a decade high. Houses are taking longer to sell now in December versus any other December going all the way back to 2018 or 2016. Yeah, look at this. So you've got a lot more homes for sale. And you also have homes sitting longer. Let's look at price cuts. How are price cuts? Price cuts up 20, no, not up. It's 21%. So 21% of all listings have had a price cut. Now, there's always price cuts. Like last December, you had 16%. December before that, you had 27%. So you always have price cuts. But it does look like some people are cutting their price at least. And that's good for you, right? All right. The coup de grace, let's look at prices. How are they doing? Down 4% year over year. So prices are dropping overall. Look at back in 2021. Home prices in that zip code were going up 40% year over year. 40%. That's some of the difference, I think, between like Texas and Ohio when you look at the housing market. Like there are areas of Ohio where we have seen massive price appreciation, but usually not 39% in 1 month year over year, right? Or in 1 year, I guess, is how they're measuring that. So it means between December of 2021 and December of 2020, yeah, December of 2020 to December of 2021, prices went up 40%. It's nuts. Let's look at the average value or the typical value. I keep saying average, but it's typical. So your prices are falling. They continue to fall there. Like you peaked at 452, around there, 453, and now you're at 355. They've fallen 100 grand. Good job being patient. 100 grand. Now, we know this. Now you're in the know. You understand what's going on now. I guarantee you there are sellers out there in that market you're looking in. And I'm not telling you you should just run out and buy something. But you said you're patient and you want to you're willing to take a lot of no's. Well, if we know this, there are sellers out there that are starting to get this idea that, okay, the price I have the house for isn't working. and I've cut the price a few times. This may be where you could find an opportunity today. The winter is a great time to find a deal because generally speaking, houses sit longer in the winter. So making offers today, making a lot of offers at a price that you want, not what the house is listed for. That's almost doesn't even really matter. Make a lot of offers now. You may find a deal. And price it so that if the bottom does fall out of the market or continues to fall, you're still okay. So, like, what if you took, I'm just making this up, but what if you took 25% off the price of the house, of the prices now? Like, if a house is listed for, what were the prices going for? 354 and the peak was 452 and they've already dropped 100 grand, maybe shave another 25% off and make an offer, right? Maybe. They come back and they like, "Oh, we can't, can't go that low, but we can go here." Oh, okay. Now they're willing to negotiate. Set your maximum price that you're willing to pay. Set your optimal price, like the best situation for you. And then when you go in and make an offer, you have some type of strategy, right? You're like, this is the most I'm willing to pay. I'm not going to go more than this. But I'd like to have it right here. Here's the price I want it at. Make an offer there. If they come back and if they're in your range, then it's something you can play ball with, right? My point is, you're probably already doing this, but go out, look at houses now. There's nothing wrong with looking at 100 houses or 50 houses, right? Look at house after house after house after house. Look at for sale by owner. Go on Zillow. Look at for sale by owner. Look at expired listings. That may be big in your market. Like if people are all waiting for the spring, but if you went out now and found a house that was that expired, in other words, they delisted, right? Maybe the last few months, and the sellers are waiting for the spring to buy. If you had your local realtor, I can't do this for you here, but if you had your local realtor pull a list of all the expired listings or all the canceled listings, and you told them, call these 5 listings and ask them if they're willing to entertain an offer now. Think about it as a seller. You're like, okay, this person's offering me 5% less than I wanted to sell it for, or 10% less. But they want to they want to play ball today. And I don't have to go list it now. I don't have to deal with showings. I can just cut my losses and get out of here before spring hits. Maybe they want to buy their next house in the spring. And so getting their house in contract now would be huge for them, even if it's a lower price than they want. I'm not telling you competition is going to run back into the market in the spring, but like, who knows what's going to come out of these Davos meetings, right? With the housing market, what other tricks they play. I have no idea. I mean, it would take, a lot of stimulus to move the market up in a quick way, like we saw with COVID, obviously. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but there may be more buyer competition out there in the spring. So don't overpay. Get a price that you're happy about, but going out now and looking may make sense. Anyway, thanks, Dave, for your contribution. Really appreciate it. The housing nerds appreciate it. And I'm very grateful. So I hope that analysis helped. Hey, all pocket watchdogs. What's happening? Yeah, gold and silver, much compared to inflation, many years, honestly, finally popped. It did. It's interesting. Like, there's a lot of people that want the housing market to crash, but they also love gold. And I'm like, well, the fact that your gold is going up could be helping the housing market. I think your camera keeps freezing. I'm sure it does. It's really, really frustrating. Oh well, is what it is. Oh, no, that's a great name. Median income has not kept pace with the median home price. Reversion to the mean. Now adding AI, going after mid-level, above median income level jobs, the janitor will be Still employed, the VP not. Right. By that's a great name, by the way, Beer Gut Boomer. Now, I know there's a lot of things that could happen, but we're looking at what's happening. Like, I could say a lot of things that could happen, right? But today, this is what prices are doing and inventory is doing. As people lose their jobs, or if people do, we will see inventory change. And inventory drives prices along with demand. Okay. I got to run here. I'll check out anything else. Yes, good. Yeah, it's a great time to make an offer. There's Dave. That's the plan. Keep an eye on deals. Rent if need to. Yep. And willing to break the lease at any time if it comes to it. Should be a deal come along. Appreciate you. I appreciate you. The you're here. Your thing on rent, real quick, Dave. Like sometimes, you know, you get a situation where you got to make two payments, right? A rent payment and a mortgage payment. If you move in a weird, the timing doesn't work. So what? Tell the seller, hey, I'll move into your place and I'll buy it, but you're going to need to give me X dollars at closing so I can pay my rent at the apartment I move out of. That makes sense. And if the seller needs to sell, they need to sell. Going into retirement to be debt free in a low property tax environment. So we're staying put, paid off. I'll just add my dream garage. Exactly. There are tons of people doing this. But this is why people are frustrated with the housing market, because there are a lot of people like you, Beer Gut Boomer, who are like, I don't need to sell. Why would I? I won't. I'll stay right here. And that's why inventory and distressed selling has not exploded. Just hasn't. That's why new listings are down. Down, not up, down. Because the AI bubble, the black swans, the white swans, the purple swans, the auto loan crisis, the private credit crisis, the derivatives, the property bond fraud, property tax bond fraud, the whatever. You could keep going and going and going. The reasons why things are supposed to crash, right? Supposed to crash. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, do I need to sell my house? No, I don't. I'm going to add my garage, just like this guy. I'm going to add my garage. Go add that garage, bro. It looks like you have some kind of cool trucker. Hey, I want a subscriber. I love it. Thank you. Look at this name. Are you like a gamer? Teabag126. Appreciate you. Can cover Salinas, California next time. Yeah, I'll add it to the list. I have a lot added to the list, but I will add that one. Or jump back on and remind me. Okay, guys, I gotta go. I gotta go work, meet some clients. Have a good day. I'm the housing nerd, and I am out. OUT.